Donald Trump, quote unquote, said, you can grab women by the and I do that as one of my opening jokes. And the joke is like, hey, I want to be Donald Trump famous because Donald Trump said when you're famous enough, you could grab women by the I found out 2 weeks ago, I'm not that famous yet.
So 44 years old, dude. I run into people all the time and they say, how old's Jesse? Like 26, 27? I said, no, he only dates them.
I want to referee the Little League volleyball games, but instead of being like the parent talking to other parents, I talk to the kids and I look in the audience amongst all these single moms and I'm like, hey, which one's yours?
Sup? Point out your mom. I know you've had your share of sexual harassment.
Oh yeah, I've been bit on the neck after a show and a lady fell after she bit my neck. She tripped over, fell backwards, a 60-year-old lady, and then her daughter was there taking the photo, watched her fall, and then wouldn't help her up. She said, that's what she gets. I was like, that's what she gets.
That's what you get, Grandma, for hoeing.
Comedy is so much a job for me. The number to completely switch and give up conservative fan base and do completely woke comedy, which has to be easy to write. Let's be honest. Writing comedy about your 17 gender spectrum fluid has to be easy. 1.5 million a year.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode. It's the Chad Prather Show. Of course, you know that because that's why you're tuned in. I want to say, well, let me give you a disclaimer right up front. I don't know what's going to happen on this episode. It could get way off the rails as I anticipate. So we'll go ahead and give you a parental discretion advised, and we'll give you a viewer advisory. We'll put a big explicit down there, sort of like a rap album. It's going to get interesting. Hey, I want to tell you guys, head over to the old but all new PratherTees.com. That's TEES.com. If you've been a long-time customer, a fan, friend of mine, whatever, you know about Prather Tees. We pushed that thing for a long, long time. Then we kind of put it on hiatus for, I guess almost like 2 years. But we're bringing it back. So we brought back a soft launch. At my age, everything's a soft launch. And so what we're doing is we're getting rid of some inventory, a bunch of stuff. We got some bundle deals and things like that. It's cheap advertisement right here. I'm just telling you, help me out so we can make room for some new stuff. We're going to keep the Unapologetic Patriot stuff going, 1776 bitches, a lot of the favorites that you guys have. We're going to keep that stuff. Biscuits running around on the floor in here. We're laid back in the cave and chill, but we're going to have a good long conversation. I think you're going to laugh and have a good time with us. What else do I need to talk about, Shy? Oh, yeah. Listen, I know every now and then we cut into these commercials right in the middle of the conversation. There's no good place to put those commercials. There's not. But we do value our partners who are a part of this program, and every single one of them are longtime friends, and they're family at this point because they've been a part of the Chad Prather Show for so long. Hey, before we get into it, don't forget, leave a rating and a review. 5 stars is what we deserve. And review, I really don't care what you say as long as you leave one, all right? You can send me a message and you can, tell me I've gained 15 pounds and need to die. But whatever, it still helps in the ranking. I'll die happy. All right. I've been touring on I've been touring around the country for 10 years and spending a lot of time on stage every weekend. Somebody said to me just the other day, they said, Chad, have you ever considered not touring? And I said, no, it's not an option for me. Like, I would go crazy. If I had to just sit around here and be still and collect my thoughts, suicidal. I have to go out. I have to be in new places all the time. And so since 2019, there's one specific guy who's been on the road with me the majority of the time. He's way, way funnier than I ever dreamed of being or ever anticipate being, and that's why he's on the road with me, because a lot of comedians that are out there, they want guys that aren't as funny as them opening up so they can come out and shine. No, I need somebody to make the show freaking good, and it ain't going to be me. So I've been touring around the country with a dude by the name of Jesse Peyton. You know him well. This is going to be a different sort of show because I'm going to dig deep into this dude's soul, all right? Jesse Peyton, he's the host of Unapologetic podcast with Jesse Peyton.
What's up, man?
I hadn't seen you in a month.
I know, but I'm glad to know that you read your reviews because it was me that posted that you gained 15 pounds. So Chad does read your reviews. Guys, leave a review, 5 stars. I left 5 stars and told him he was fat.
It's all muscle. It's not all muscle, but it's mostly.
Yeah, it's not. It's all a soft launch. You just said that.
Dude, isn't it weird that like last year, like from May till November when I hurt my back, I was like crushing it, dude. I'd lost weight. I was on steroids. Yeah. My penis shriveled up. My nutsack was like...
That's it, yeah.
My nutsack will never actually shrivel up. It's like just dipping in the water at this point. Like I can feel the nutsack muscles trying to pull it up. Yeah. Like, come on, get up here, boys.
It's like stretched out bungee cords. It's like, yeah, I got you. I know how that is.
It's like a deployed parachute just blowing in the wind. You're trying to pull it all back in on the field,
It's really gross.
It's gross, but you know it's true. Your birthday's coming up. first of all. Let's plug some things before we get into this.
Plug some things.
You got a birthday show coming up.
Yeah, if you follow me on Facebook or you're a friend or fan, you know I'm turning 44 this year. If you follow me on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, or any dating site, I'm turning 27 again. So they don't fact check that, so whatever. Yeah, we've got a big show coming up, the Sam Houston Race Park. Big deal. A lot of shows we launched today, last week actually. So 9 a.m. They launched. So tickets are live. Valor Entertainment's producing it. Jimmy Rogers, good friend of ours. And Dustin Sims going to be on the show. We got him in town.
Funniest dude in the world.
Funniest dude. Holy crap. It's going to be a big show. We're excited, man.
You and I have a show coming up this week in Canyon Lake, Texas, Goofy's, which if you see that, you think, where the hell is Goofy's? You pull up to this little diner, this little Greasy Spoon diner in Canyon Lake, Texas. And there's Biscuit trying to make a scene. I'm telling you, Biscuit thinks that she's supposed to be in this deal. That's the thing about little dogs. They think everybody likes them.
Yeah.
But they don't.
I do like Biscuit, but we're in the middle of something, Biscuit.
Yeah, Biscuit, go on. Go piss on the floor somewhere. I always say the cave smells like piss and Febreze. So, yeah, if you hear the dog, you'll know that. Yesterday, I was recording an audio podcast for the Mondays and Wednesdays, our To The Point deal. And I got about 3 minutes in, and I sit over there where Shy sits. And I was about 2 minutes into recording that podcast, and I wish I'd have saved the recording because you can hear me go, Biscuit, you bitch! Because she runs over there, and I could see her doing it. And like Shy's doing right now, Shy's over there snapping, trying to get the dog to come. And which is, never mind, I'm not going there.
Before the show, I don't know if you were even up here yet, but I said son of a bitch, and then Biscuit like came unglued.
Yeah,
like
she knows her
responds
name.
to that. Yeah.
She knows her name. They both start with a B, and she immediately recognizes because she gets
Which is adorable, but when I did it with my ex-wife, she would get mad. Whatever.
Hey guys, the world may be going down in flames, but it's not going to get me down. It's not going to depress me. Nope, absolutely not. It may be a complete disaster out there with all these Bidenomics and all the crazy stuff happening in our world, but it's not going to ruin my day. You know why? Because I started my day with a really good, dark cup of coffee, and it was delicious. It is an America First cup of coffee from Blackout Coffee. Man, I'm so proud to partner with these guys. Their coffee is 100% American, 0% grift. Blackout Coffee is 100% committed to conservative values. They source the beans, the roasting process, the customer support and shipping. Everything they do embodies the true American spirit, the hardworking values, and they accept no compromise on taste or quality. I'm telling you something. When you see this cup sitting on this table, it is filled with Blackout Coffee. I love it so much, and maybe drinking too much of it, we'll see, but it's delicious. Listen, I want you to support small businesses across the country that have the same values you do, and Blackout Coffee is one of those companies. So I want you to check them out and see what you think. Listen, not only they're American first, they're family owned. So I want you to go to blackoutcoffee.com/Chad, and right now, if you use promo code CHAD, I spell it Chad, you're going to get 20% off your first order. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Chad. Use promo code Chad. One more time, blackoutcoffee.com/Chad. Use that promo code Chad. So 44 years old, dude. But anyway, we're going to Canyon Lake.
Yeah.
See, like you've been perpetually a kid to me. And you've never been a kid since I've known you, but it's still, I think of you. I run into people all the time and they say, how old's Jesse? Like 26, 27? I said, no, he only dates them.
Who was it the other day that said, "Oh, I went to Lindsay's daughter's volleyball game, and she's 12, 11, playing on the junior high team, and all her friends pull my social media up, TikTok and Instagram, and they're like, oh, he's famous,' and I'm like, yeah, and and they go, how old is he? And they go, mid-20s, and I'm like, wow. Absolutely, tell your mom."
Wow.
So yeah, it's crazy because I go watch. I want to referee the Little League volleyball games, but instead of being like the parent talking to other parents, I talk to the kids, and I look in the audience amongst all these single moms, and I'm like, hey, which one's yours?
So, point out your mom.
Point out your mom, yeah. How do you feel? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You and I met 2019. I was doing a show. You had actually booked me to come to a show in College Station, and it was kind of Jesse Peyton Presents type thing, and you do a lot of those, and you had booked me, and normally when I'm in the green room, when you can hear the stage, you sort of got people talking to you, and there's a buzz in there, and you were killing the room, and I could hear the laughs. They were so big, and I told everybody in the green room, I was like, shut up. I want to hear what this guy's doing, because we had just met. And I think it was that night. I said, dude, we got to go do some shows together.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. In fact, it was actually the following week that we had spoken, because you said my name on Blaze TV the next day, and you had mentioned me, and my phone blew up from all your fans and my followers that were overlapping. They were like, "Dude, Chad just said your name on the Blaze."
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and which for me was a big deal. And now when people are like, "Chad said your name," I'm like, "Don't believe it." Years later, but it was really cool. So I went to your show, and I went to YouTube for the first time and pulled your show up. And I watched like 15 minutes. I didn't hear my name. So I text everybody. I'm like, "Give me a timestamp. This shit's terrible." No, I'm kidding. I'm happy to be here. And
this is how you get canceled from the Chad Prather show.
Exactly. No, we had a good time. And then you said the exact same thing you just did. We had a great time. We did the next show actually in Canyon Lake was the first tour date that we had done together.
That was a couple nights, didn't it? We did 2 nights?
We did 2 nights, 2 shows each night. And together we sold it out. It was like 800 tickets. Together we sold them all. You sold like 780 and I sold 20. So, we split that shit right down the middle. And it took off. And it was then at the Airbnb that we stayed at that you were like, just very... you were very complimentary, and you said the whole world needed to see me, and you could make that happen. And 5 years later, you did, and it's blown up, man. And like I said, I tell you all the time when I need to borrow money that I am where I'm at because of you. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, that's it.
So I talked to my mother the other day, and I told her, I said, my oldest daughter is flying in. She's going to spend that particular weekend with me. Which is a huge deal for me. Those kids, they're busy, they're off, they're adults, they have their life going on, their careers. But she's flying in. She's going to ride over with me to Canyon Lake, that Goofy's, which is cool because it's a Greasy Spoon up front, and in the back they got a cool little venue that seats about 400 people. And I told you that, you were like, "Can I roast her?" I was like, let's not get off on the wrong foot. Let's ease this kid into our world. Because my kids already think I'm suspect anyway. This is your father. This is what I look like. I'm on the road so much. But my mother, I told her that, and she goes, now, is she going to be okay? Is she all right? She goes, is Jesse Peyton going to be there? She goes, "Don't expose her to a whole lot of vulgar."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow. See, so your reputation precedes you.
It does.
Your comedy, though, is not for the faint of heart. I've told you never change who you are. I say that to anybody. Don't. When you've done shows with me, I've said, nope, you be you, right? I'll be me, you be you. I think the phrase was, what was it?
I be I, you be you.
I be I, you be you.
First thing you said to me.
And
I was like, this dude has a speech impediment.
He used to have that on a license plate, actually. I be I, you be you.
Yeah.
And so I said, because I remember we were doing that show in Marble Falls. What was the place, the resort over there? The
Putters and Gutters?
No, the
Horseshoe Bay.
Horseshoe Bay, when we got snowed in for the ice Armageddon deal. And we got stuck there. And we were doing that show there, and you did some gay jokes. And the next night, I think one of the management came into our green room and said, "We want to request that you not do that. We have some employees here that are gay." And I was like, which when I hear that, I'm like, I don't think your gay employees would have a problem with those gay jokes.
Right.
You're getting offended on their behalf.
Yeah, and it's like, it's like black people saying the N-word, gay dudes being able to say the F slur. Like, I can make gay jokes because I have tendencies. Like, I've been to prison, so I've earned my stripes, figuratively and literally. So I should be able to say it. But we did the next show and we curbed it, and it was great. We had a good time.
Yeah, because you asked me, you said, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Do what you do."
Right.
Don't censor a thing. And you said, I think your comment to me was, they won't let us come back. And I said, there's other places to go.
You did. And you've always been on my side, but a part of comedy, and you preach this to other people, and I do as well, is that when you're a professional, you have to read the room. And you don't just walk in and start out with the most vulgar, offensive jokes. But we've learned in comedy, once they like you, once the audience likes you, you can get away with a lot more. And my buddy Alan Adams we did Kenny and Ziggy's Deli, and the median age there was about 87. And they wanted us to work relatively clean. And Alan Adams is a pretty vulgar comic. And I remember he was telling a joke, and he was like, "Hey guys, they told me to work clean, and he's killing at the time. They love this dude." And he was like, "For the next joke, I really need to say the word vagina." He's like, "So I have to say it or the joke doesn't work. So if everybody here's cool, just one time I'm going to say vagina. Is that okay? Is everybody cool for one joke if I say vagina?" And all these old people like clap. Yeah, it's okay. And he goes, how about? And it was like they died laughing just because but it was because they already loved him that he could get away with it. But you don't lead with that. He was 15 minutes into a set where they'd already liked him. And you've always told me, read the rooms.
The thing about you that I remind people is Jesse's a pro. Somebody, a good friend of mine, I'll give her a shout out, Melody Villard in Craig, Colorado. I've done a bunch of events up in Craig. It's west of Steamboat. I've done a bunch of stuff up there. I've elk hunted on their land. They're sheep farmers. They've been featured with Mike Rowe on Dirty Jobs, biting the nuts off of lambs.
Oh, wow.
They made Mike Rowe bite testicles off.
Wow.
So it's a great episode if anybody searches it out. And then Mike gave like a TED talk and mentioned them about how the experts don't know this versus the people who actually do it, right? Because it's about castration. And anyway, go watch Mike Rowe's deal. It's pretty interesting. But I became good friends with Albert and Melody Villard in Craig, Colorado. I've done events with them, I don't know, since 2016 or 17. And the other day she said, I want to do a Saturday show in Craig, which when you go to Craig, you're in Craig. There's nothing else around there. You're 4 hours from anything. And she goes, I want you and Jesse to come do a show. And I said, the problem with that is routing. I said, and you probably can't afford to do it. I said, she was like, well, it's an outdoor venue. I said, let me stop you right there. I said, you got to control the room. I said, you've had me in to do some crazy things. I said, but I try not to bring anybody into that situation. And I said, you probably can't afford that show. I said, because getting to Craig is a process. Then we can't go anywhere else. And I said, Jesse's kind of vulgar. Yeah. I mean, Jesse's going to rub you a little bit. And she goes, well, do you think we could get it cheaper and cleaner if you brought Zach Rushing?
Oh, wow. Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
I said, let me stop you on both points.
Zach's 10X what Jesse's bottom line always is. Yeah. So, yeah, good luck with that.
Zach Rushing, I'm going to tell his business because he doesn't watch the show. Zach Rushing, I just did 3 nights with him in Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa. His Iowa show, Cedar Rapids, shout out to that wild bunch of hellions. Yeah. My gosh, dude, there was not an empty seat in the standing room only. And this place was packed, hundreds of people. And I was glad I could help him do that. But this place was wild, dude. It was raucous. And you've traveled with Zach enough. You know that crowd, that demographic. Yeah. I mean, these are toothless Luke Bryan fans. I mean, these folks, God bless them, and I love them. They're patriots. They love God. They love their country. They love their values, and they show up. And more importantly, they spend that American money.
They do.
And I think Zach did like $13,000 in T-shirt sales. That night, because I know they were over 12,000 in T-shirt sales. So he kills it like that everywhere he goes. So I'm like, no, you're probably not going to get Zach cheaper or cleaner.
Or cleaner, yeah.
Because he's like Dustin Sims. Like, you have a filter. Dustin Sims has no filter.
Correct.
Our other buddy, who I think is the funniest dude in the world. Yeah. Just nobody knows him. And he's insane. But, and Zach has no filter. What you see is what you get.
Right.
I mean, he's going to say it exactly the way he wants to say it. But I thought that was funny that she wanted us to come up there and do that show. And I was like, well, it's a business.
Well, I consider myself a true stand-up comedian, which means in certain cases you have to be malleable to fit in a square peg into a round hole, if that's what it requires sometimes. Yeah. And Zach has his act, Dustin has his act, and it's very specific. Where mine, I have probably 3.5, 4 hours of material. I'm not a clean comic, and I don't do my best in those environments, but I can if you need it.
Yeah.
So I try to, there is a difference, but it's, thinking you're going to get Zach Rushing for cheaper is cute.
That's cute.
That's hilarious.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how to say this without sounding like an absolute but you just got to tell them. I mean, it's a business, and these guys do very well. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday and said, what would it cost for you to come sing some songs at an event? And I was like, well, I don't really sing songs at events. I put on shows.
Right.
I don't know how to tell you that what I do is my business. Like, you wouldn't text, you wouldn't send a message to Eric Church and be like, would you come sing some songs at our fundraiser?
For sure.
He puts on shows. He puts on concerts. We do that. And if you do anything less than that, you're sort of cheapening it. And it kind of sounds like, you're being mean about it. But that's kind of but you're good at when people ask you, like, how much for you to come do a show here? Like, what would it take? I hate that question. What would it take to get you to come do a show here?
People, the thing is this, we do this every day. This is our business. You do, 100 cities a year. So do I. And people don't understand what it takes. Well, for them, they're like, they don't know if you cost $500 or $25,000.
Right.
They don't know what it is.
No point of comparison.
I've made both of those numbers in shows. So they don't know how to lead with it. So they want to, I think they're like trying to meet you halfway. And I don't think they really want to devalue it, because I'll get this all the time. Hey, come do an hour special. And I'm like, what's your budget? And the dude will be like, it's my company Christmas party. I'll give you 10 grand to come do an hour. And I'm like, deal, we'll do it. And then sometimes they'll ask me my price and I'll say, hey, well, I've made 500, I've made 10,000. What are you looking for? And they're like, well, we want you to come do an hour. And I'll say, well, what are you looking for? They're like, okay, we'll do 30 minutes for half the price. And I'm like, you've got me for the night. Whether I do 15 minutes or an hour and a half is inconsequential. We have to reserve the whole night for your event. So people really don't understand what you do. But I'm at a point now where I'm turning a lot of gigs down, which is, I think, a good barometer for me to know that I'm trending in the right direction. And because I used to drive to Dallas for $20 shows, just to be.
I've seen you get in your car and drive to Maryland to do 30 minutes of comedy.
I'm driving to Virginia Beach, and Matt just mapped it. It's 21 hours, and Lindsay and I are hitting the road on the bus to go do a show with Zach Rushing on a Wednesday. One show Wednesday, one show Thursday, and then that's this week. And then I'm going to turn around, drive all day Friday, 20 hours straight, to meet you and King and Lake to do a show at Goofy's. And I'm going to break even out there. But I have so much love with Zach and so many shows I've done where it's been profitable over the years that I'm going to go do this for a break even number. But, we're not hanging drywall. We're not digging ditches. We love what we do.
Amen. So, I've done those things.
Yeah.
The weekend I did with Zach, which I'm honored that he wanted me to do those things, because he's strategic. He's dialed in with his business. He knows who he wants on what shows. And so I knew that I wasn't taking a bath, but I knew that what I could make in 3 nights on my own versus what he was going to pay me for doing 3 nights with him. There was a huge discrepancy in that equity. But I was okay with that because it exposed me to more audience, more potential people. It was a good experience. You've been a good hustler at that, and I want to get into that in a second. But first, what's that wristband you're wearing? What's that say?
It says "Stop Bullying." So my niece, no, and I hate bullying. So my niece is 9, and she's in karate, and her school was raising money. So they always come to me when they need to travel or whatever to buy what chocolate or whatever they're selling. So she was selling these wristbands, and it was just that time I didn't have any cash on me. So it was at her karate tournament. She was selling it for school, and she goes, Uncle Jesse, I'm selling these wristbands for school. They're $10 each. Will you buy one? And I was like, no, baby, I can't buy one right now. And she's like, buy one, and so I bought 1,000 of them. So visit jesseisfunny.com to get these Stop Bullying bracelets. I got a bunch I need to unload. I've actually invested in them since I had to spend $10,000. On the other side, I put "Don't be a So, yeah, it's for a good cause. It's the Jesse needs to recoup his 10 grand cost. So
that's me. I'm sitting on I don't know, $250,000 worth of inventory out in that garage right there, and need to get rid of that stuff. Prathertees.com. Hey guys, let's take a quick break in the program, and let me remind you that the meat in your grocery store aisle, it probably didn't come from America. That's right. It's mystery meat. You don't know where it's from. Not only that, but when you see that product of the USA sticker that's on the meat packaging, it just means that it was packaged in America. It doesn't mean it was raised here. So that's not what our friends over at Backyard Butchers are all about. Listen, they're a Christian conservative Texas-based company that's dedicated to delivering not only the best meat, but the best deals and quality of chicken and beef to you. Their American-raised, American-harvested meat comes from their own backyard, and they deliver across the nation. The meat is grass-fed and grain-finished, meaning that everything they deliver to you is going to taste amazing. Trust me, my freezer is full of it, and I cook it almost daily, if I'm being honest. So cut the frustration in the meat aisle. Go to backyardbutchers.com/Chad. Save an extra 20% off your first order. And if you subscribe, you get another 10% off, plus free shipping. So they got over 500,000 happy customers across America, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and an American-based customer service team you can trust that you're being taken care of. Again, backyardbutchers.com/Chad is going to get you 20% off of your first order. And if you subscribe, you're going to get an additional 10% off plus free shipping. That's backyardbutchers.com/Chad. Hustling, though, I've always said that a lot of people say, why do you always travel with Jesse? I said, well, he's funny and he's a pro. He knows the room. You don't have to worry about him. There's no drama because you don't drink.
Don't drink, don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Have you ever?
Yeah. No, I've never been drunk in my life. Never tried any drugs. I've done a couple of edibles. Yeah, could you imagine?
I could not imagine.
It would be unbelievable. I don't sleep with fans. I'm no drama. I'm all business.
Did you say you don't sleep with fans?
I don't.
Like a ceiling fan or like a human being?
Shut up.
That comes to the show.
This guy, he's just gonna bring me on here to drag me. It's cool. Thanks. No, I don't. I when I'm on the road, when I tour with you, I'm 100% business all the time. And I do goof off and we have fun. We have a freaking blast. But I try to keep everything. This is my job. This is my nut. This is my bread and butter.
I mean, if you consider eating chicken wings at Buffalo Wild Wings at 1 a.m., kicking it. We do a lot of that.
You know what? It's safe and it's not unhealthy. So, and I've had to take your keys a few times, asshole. So
a couple times you have had to take my keys.
But you're not.
I can name those places.
Yeah.
It hadn't been too many.
It's twice ever in 5 years. So yeah, you don't party a lot. You don't get into bullshit.
That's right, Mom. Listen to what Jesse says. He's vulgar, but he tells the truth.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, Chad, he never parties. He never gets in trouble. He never
doesn't sleep with fans.
Causes drama. And PratherTees.com. Sorry, this is just all the shit you told me to say.
Doesn't sleep with fans. I don't have fans that'll sleep with me at this point.
I've seen. Never mind.
Yeah, you've seen. Well, some of them can't outrun me. They can't outrun me.
The ones that do want to aren't shy about it.
No, I had a girl at the Cedar Rapids show. There were a couple of girls at the Cedar Rapids show. I've got some pictures. Just because I was like, dadgummit, y'all are very forward. This one girl walked up, grabbed me right in the crotch, and kissed me on the neck. And said, let's go get a drink. And I was like, security.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've got a ton of that stuff, which you always sell. We're both with Wheelchairs for Warriors.
Absolutely.
Wheelchairsforwarriors.org. I talk to that group almost on the weekly because they always want something. But we promote the hell out of them on the road.
For sure.
You always sell the shirt you're wearing on stage, which is a very specific shirt. It's very gay, very metro.
Very, very much so. Sign it, date it, and donate a portion of the proceeds to do a benefit. This year it's going to be 2 benefits. I talked to Ken Webster last week, so we're excited about that. Cool. Yeah, it's been blowing up. So yeah, awesome organization.
But the point is, people will literally buy the shirt off of his back, and it's $500 for charity for that shirt. And so you spend most of the time out there taking pictures with people with no shirt on, which looks a whole lot better than me with no shirt on, I can assure you, which is fine. But I know you've had your share of sexual harassment.
Oh, yeah. I've been bit on the neck after a show, and a lady fell after she bit my neck. She tripped over, fell backwards, a 60-year-old lady, and then her daughter was there taking the photo, watched her fall, and then wouldn't help her up. She's like, that's what she gets. I was like, that's what she gets.
That's what you get, Grandma, for hoeing.
I've had some weird encounters where, I sell the shirt, and a lady was looking at the shirt. She's like, I want to buy that shirt. I'm like, okay, cool. It's $500. She's like, I don't have $500. I was like, well, what do you have? It's, for a good cause. I don't mind, taking less. And she was like, I'll very graphically said, I will perform oral sex on you, while her husband was taking our photo.
Yeah.
Now I looked immediately at him in a defensive position like, hey, I had nothing to do with this. And if you come at me, I'm going to try to hurt you. Don't be mad at me. And because if my girl did that to anybody, it could be Morgan Wallen. And she's like, I'll blow you for your belt buckle. I would leave her there stranded, and she would have to blow an Uber driver to get home. But I would have been so embarrassed as the dude. And I looked at him, and this dude was just like, oh, she really wants your shirt.
She's ready for that action.
I'm like, you really need to get your girl under control. And it's just insane how audacious they can be about it. And not, I would say those, I'm a comedian and I'm a goofy guy. I would say those things hyperbolically, and I would say those things in jest. I would never say it literally.
Yeah.
Literally, it was just, especially in front of my wife. Well, yeah, strange.
I have had numerous episodes. I'll tell you this. Now I don't really do official meet and greets anymore because like Zach, he's still doing official meet and greets. I think he had 115 people in one the other day.
Christ.
I mean, that's a whole second show.
Right.
You got to stand there and wait. And those people, our fans want to come up and they want to tell you everything. They want to tell you their life story. They want to talk about what their 10-year-old said last week. You know, the cows out in the field have just dropped.
What your video got them through.
Yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff, which is great. It's beautiful. It's precious. But when you got 90 other people waiting behind you and they're pissed and they're looking at, what they do is they always look at the artist. They look at you like, why aren't you rushing this thing up? And it's like, you wouldn't want me to do that with you.
Right.
So I don't really do formal meet and greets, even though I could make more money because people pay extra for the meet and greet. And what a lot of people don't understand is when we do a meet and greet, 100% of that money comes to the artist, right? So you can make a lot more money by doing that. I don't do that anymore. I just go out and hang at the merch table.
You do.
And just whoever wants a picture can get a picture. We'll hang. I'll sign something or whatever. I've never done a meet and greet where this didn't happen. And most of the time after a show, I can tell you that my ass gets grabbed every time.
Same.
By somebody.
Yeah.
By somebody. And the fact that, like, if dudes just did that to female artists,
You get pepper sprayed.
Yeah, you get pepper sprayed. You go to jail. You'd be a Me Too. You'd get canceled.
Right.
All of these things. But women have some. They're pretty audacious. And I kind of laugh it off and do my whole kind of thing. And I know there's probably people who are listening, so you should stop that. Shit. Yeah, I should.
If you've never had your pooty poo grab, we're gonna form a line.
We're gonna form a line right over
here.
there.
That's my favorite bit of yours. It's funny you say that about the meet and greet because I've only paid for one meet and greet. It was when I was married. I spent $10,000 on Super Bowl tickets for me and my wife to go, and I spend a lot of money on myself, and I would make a lot of money. And she was a big Britney Spears fan, and I could give two F's about Britney Spears. So we go to Vegas, stay at the Planet Hollywood, meet and greet for Britney Spears, and the show and backstage was $4,500 a ticket. And I'm like, hey, it's my wife's, we took her. I just spent this money on the Super Bowl. I'm gonna take her to meet Britney Spears. Same thing. Line 200 people. We get in line. They take the photo. I always take the photo like this because I'm like Ricky Bobby. When I take photo, I don't know what to do with my hands. And so I put my arm around the person. I always do this. And so I tell Britney while we take the photo, I was like, hey, can you do this? And she's like, okay, cool. And she's so cute. And she does it. And she's, a good sport about it. My wife does it. We take the photo. I'm so happy. I just spent 10 grand on this for my wife. We do the backstage, see the pageantry, the presentation of her production, which is enormous. You can imagine her residency at Planet Hollywood has to be huge. All of this, we get the photo. The meet and greet with Britney Spears was 11 seconds max. Boom, click through. I was like, that was $4,500. It feels like blackjack. It's just gone. So we get through.
This is like a craps table.
But for her, she was speechless. She started crying after it. Like she was so happy. And all I wanted was to make my wife happy. So they give us the photo. It's in the stupid little fold out thing like they give you. And I hand her the photo and I'm like, here, babe, I'm so happy. Like I just spent 10 grand on my wife. Give her the photo. I'm like, post that immediately. On social media. She opens it up. She goes, oh my God, I look fat, and throws it over her shoulder. I'm like, you ungrateful bee. I was like, I will punch you in the neck right now. What is wrong? I spent $10,000 on that damn photo. We met this woman for 11 seconds. I was like, you better post it. I was like, we're going to this tattoo shop. You're tattooing this on your neck. And we had a huge argument after that.
Pick it up, fat ass.
I was like, I don't care if they Photoshop Miss Piggy over your face. You're posting that. I was like, it was a $10,000 photo to meet this chick I could give two shits about. Oh.
Tell everybody you're pregnant.
I don't give a shit.
So where's that wife now?
Gone.
Yeah. Well, that was fun.
That was good.
No, but yeah.
Sorry, that was my meet and greet story from the other end.
I'm trying to think if I've ever done a meet and greet. Like Ron White, when he would do meet and greets, when he does meet and greets, his thing is he'll have like 16 people, max. They form like a semicircle line. The guy comes out and says, here's what Ron White's going to do. Here's what Ron's going to do. He's going to come out here. He's going to stand beside you. You can say hello. He'll sign something. He's going to take a picture, and he's moving to the next person. That's it. And that's what he does.
Wow.
He's in and out of that thing in 15 minutes.
You know, which is crazy, because I was talking, Dustin and I were at the gym this morning actually talking about it, and Zach's meet and greets and what it costs and how much extra money they make. And like you said, it's 100% that goes to the artist.
Yeah.
Meeting people, and I guess maybe I'm just not at the stage where I'm just bombarded with it and it's annoying, but I love that part. To see people that you made laugh, because most of the people, when I open for you guys, they don't know who I am initially. And to have a line of 40 people waiting just to get a photo with me, man, that feels so freaking good. Right. And I don't know if that goes away or if that's how it was when you started.
No, I still love doing it. It's just a lot. So rather than charging people to do it, and that's the point I was making, rather than charging people for the meet and greet, and I can't say that I will never do it. Some venues actually require it because they don't want the chaos in the lobby. But I just like, why do that? I'll just go out to the merch table and just hang with people. Yeah. Because for me, when I'd walk into that room and there was, 50 to 100 people standing there and they just kind of look at you because they don't know what to say. Like, say this before a show. Right. And they've got an ante room off the side of the theater and you go in that room and these people are like looking at you. Some of them are kind of like, oh my God, it's him. Which it doesn't register to me that people, but there are people who literally think of you that way.
Of course.
Because you have impacted their life. So I go in and it's almost like another show. I immediately go in, I'm on, dude, and I try to make those people feel welcome and try to spend all the time with them that I can. But sometimes some weird things happen. Like you were talking about a minute ago, going back to that, there's been a couple of times where Fort Smith, Arkansas, Abilene, Texas, I've got some pictures that are interesting where women just immediately pull their boobs out. Like you were talking about what the lady said to you with her husband standing there. And I mean, I've had dudes like sitting there waiting with their camera and I'm like, his wife has those fresh bolt-ons and she really wants to show them off and she wants you to sign her boobs. Yeah. And I mean, boom, there they are. And it's like, well, those knew the route out. Like that ain't the first time you've done that. Absolutely. You're good at this, obviously, which is kind of awkward because you're like looking. My thing has always been if a woman walks up and she's all giddy and she wants to take a picture or whatever, and you can just see it in her eyes. She's so excited to meet you. I always reach out and shake the husband's hand first. I'm like, dude, I greet that guy first. Right. Always do that.
And it's crazy because I was there in Abilene with you when that girl pulled her boobs out, and it took me a long, but I got my video, my camera started, and so I got like the last half of it, and but if you do it in slow motion, it lasts like 11 seconds, 11.8, but whatever. I may have looked at it 7, 8.
And if you do it in reverse, you can see me undraw my name.
I'm like, look, it looks like laser tattoo removal, and then Chad like steps away, and then she faces me, and then it's a whole thing. It's on TikTok at Jesse is Funny if you want to follow me. But I had a guy, I was there for that one. So I've signed 8 or 10 women's boobs. But this was crazy. I was in Anniston, Alabama with Dustin doing a show, and this guy drove 4 hours to see me headline this little room. He followed me on TikTok, and he doesn't look like our typical demo. Our typical demo is Carhartt, camouflage, and cowboy hats, boots, and whatever. And this kid had like a big Anarchy A tattooed on his neck with a beanie. And it looked like he rode a skateboard there on his way to buy ketamine. And he goes, hey, you're my favorite comedian. I've been following you for years. I drove 4 hours to come see you. And we're in a dump, like a little pool hall. And he goes, I sign all his stuff. He buys merch. He's there with his sister. He goes, will you sign my chest? And it was a male. Fine. I'm like, so I sign his chest in a Sharpie. His sister's taking a video of it. And he said, I'm going to leave here and go get your signature tattooed on me. I'm like, okay. Then he goes, if you do that, PM me, direct message me on social media, the tattoo, and I'll post it on mine, thinking there's no way in hell. Right. And so 2 days later, I had a DM request, which are the people who you don't follow. I pull it up and it was the signature in Sharpie and then the actual tattoo. He got my name tattooed. And I was like, at the time, I was just taking off. And I was like, dude, you understand? Like, I've got 4,000 followers on Instagram. And he was like, you're the most famous person I've ever met. I'm like, that's because you live 4 hours from the most suburban town in Anniston, Alabama. And I was like, just wait, somebody else will come through. And so it's on my Instagram. He got my name tattooed on him, which was.
I remember seeing the picture. I've seen the picture.
Insane.
That's insane.
Insane.
Who knew? Who knew that you would be this person, Jesse? Look at you.
He has to have watched, like, I feel like he bought Bitcoin with this tattoo, and he's now since then I've blown up on social media, so he has to watch it go up like every day, like refreshing my social media followers, knowing like the value of his tattoo is going up. Because what if I would have quit comedy after that? And it was like, who's that tattooed on you? Yeah. And it was like, it's a dude who died with 1,300 followers on social media.
Who knows? Maybe then you would have become an icon.
Yeah, a martyr.
Hey, so I ran into some people yesterday at a place, at a restaurant. It was a bar, let's be honest. And they recognized me, and the guy said, hey, I'm Big Dick Chris. Now you have a bit, and I knew exactly what he meant.
Okay, that's good.
I knew exactly, obviously, because you've got a bit where you pick on a particular guy in the audience and you pay him a backhanded compliment, and you call him Big Dick and whatever his name is, right? We won't get into it because I don't want to steal the bit or ruin the bit here. But the guy goes, "I'm Big Dick Chris," and I go, "What show?" And he goes, over here in the Houston area. And so in the Woodlands, because you do the show over at Two Tones, which is the piano bar, which is an amazing venue in the Woodlands.
Just did it.
Yeah, and you got that. You're doing that quarterly, right?
Easter night, and then we're going to be doing it July 7th. So
So you always bring new comics in with you. It's a cool show if you're in the Houston area or wherever. Come in. It's a cool Sunday night. But anyway, we started talking about you because they were there to see you and big fans of yours. He and his wife were there. And we were joking about that. And I said, Jesse is the only person I know who graduated from high school on a Thursday, reported for prison on Monday. Is that true?
That's a true story. Yeah. Oh, you told this guy that?
I told him.
Awesome. So you tell my fans, by the way, I'm Chad Prather. He's a criminal.
Well, I'll tell you the way it worked was you were getting too much clout.
I had to bring you back down.
You had way too much credentials going on in that thing.
Rewind 5 years ago when we were in Canyon Lake and you said, hey, the whole world needs to see you. So when I lift you up and I can make that happen. So when I do, I'm going to chop your ass down.
Well, every now and then you put somebody on a pedestal and that pedestal gets a little too high. So you got to bring them down a little bit. No, we were having a conversation. We eased into it and it was just a funny moment to be able to do that because they were like, really? Oh, Jesse's awesome. He's so great. I was like, is he really that great? Well, let's talk about prison. So you went to prison when you were how old?
I caught my case when I was 17. I went to prison when I was 18.
Caught your case. What was your case? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm off parole now. We can talk about whatever.
You killed somebody?
No. I had an aggravated robbery, aggravated assault. It was a family. I'm not proud of it. I was in high school and had some seemingly financial difficulties at the time that were now silly. But
most 17-year-olds do have financial difficulties.
Yeah, and so I had a bright idea that I would rob somebody because I grew up from Katy, so I'm super tough.
You're in the streets, man.
I'm in the streets. I'm in the mean streets of West Houston, baby. And so I'd never committed a crime in my life. I'd never had a gun in my hand in my life. And it's a very humbling thing to talk about, but this was 25 years ago. Actually, this year makes 25 years. This next month makes 25 years since it happened. Not proud of it. Got caught. They gave me 16 years aggravated in Texas Department of Criminal Justice for my first offense ever. They told me since I was from Katy, and this is the words of the DA per the judge, the fact that you're a relatively affluent white boy from Katy, quote unquote, with no reason to do what you did. It's heinous and you're a monster and you deserve to go to prison. And they sent me to prison and I had to do 50% of my time. So my very first case, didn't get probation, didn't get boot camp, was tried as an adult, even though it happened when I was 17. They sent me to prison for 8.5 years. So again, I'm not proud of it. Before anybody goes passing judgment, I did my damn time. I did 8.5 years day for day in a cell for my first time ever committing an offense. So because there's a lot of persecution that comes with that. There's a lot.
There's a stigma.
There's a stigma. And what's funny is I did Kenny Webster's radio show before I even knew what conservative and liberal was. And he did the, conservative talk radio on Walton and Johnson show. And I sit down. He brought me in there because I was doing comedy. Well, at the time, I didn't know anything about politics. And so I sit down, do the show, and he gets his spiel. I'm Kenny Webster, conservative talk radio, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for tuning in. And I didn't even know what that meant. And then he was talking about Art Acevedo and criminals on the streets in Houston and lock them up, throw away the key. And I'm like, he's like, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, nope. Lock them up's one thing, but do we have to throw away the key? People change. And, I didn't get into it because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And I lacked the knowledge on the subject to really get into it. So after the show, I was like, hey, Ken, I did time, right? And he was like, what? No, why didn't you say that? I'm like, because you scared the shit out of me. And I was embarrassed. And, you were talking so bad against criminals. Like I was a criminal. Like I did that. And, it's not a crown that I wear and I brag on, but it's a part of my past, you know? And he was like, you should have talked about that because obviously that would have been great for radio. And I was like, well, I didn't want to. I felt ashamed and you kind of twisted the knife. And he was like, well, you know, and obviously he and I are almost best friends now. He's a great guy. So it's something I don't withdraw from, but it's also, you know, I was graduated high school on a Thursday, went to prison on Monday. I went from my mama's house to prison, got out when I was 27 years old in 2007, didn't know what the internet was, never been on a cell phone. None of those things existed so I get home, I'm 27 years old. Society expects of a 27-year-old things that, you know, a late 20s adult could, you know and understand. And I'd never paid a bill. I'd never paid rent. I'd never had my own anything. So it was, you know, the reintegration wasn't tough because I had a good family and a good support system, but the explanation of how come you don't have a website? How come you don't know how to navigate the internet? How, you know, back then we were using MapQuest. You know, I didn't know what MapQuest was. I'm like, how do I get there? Like, give me directions. Go to the water tower, make a left, hit Whataburger. You went too far. That's how I traversed things in 1998 when I went to prison. So explaining these things to people raised a huge red flag. Like, why don't you know common things that people know? And you look at right now, we're in 2024, back up to, you know, 2016, how different things are now. Like now, you know, back when in 2016, there were 2 genders, and now like you just get to pick. It's fucking crazy. Excuse my language, but it's nuts. Sorry, get a little excited. If you can go from a 17-year-old blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy from Katy and make it in prison and get a college degree, not join a gang, you know, get your ass whooped to stay entrenched in a value system that you're cultivating for yourself, and you can make it there, then you can reintegrate back out here seamlessly as well. And the recidivism rate for somebody my age who did my crime and did the amount of time that I did is 97.3%, meaning 97.3% of people who do what I did and go to prison at the age that I did and do as much time as I did, when they get out, they go back. You don't know shit else. So I'm the 2.7% that kind of beat the odds. So you know, where people want to turn a nose up at you or stigmatize you or persecute you for it. First of all, I paid my time. It was an isolated incident. It never happened again. To this day, the only time I've ever had a pistol in my hand, I was shooting at paper at a range, and I hate guns. You know, it's not a byproduct of who I am intrinsically. It's something that I did one time. And I paid my dues for that. So I don't withdraw from it. I even, 10 years of doing comedy, I was so ashamed of it. I never talked about it until this year. You know that. Like when we first met, that was something I never even talked about. And, guys like you, Steve Trevino, Dustin, Zach, guys, that I look up to and work with are like, delve into that shit. That's what people want to hear about. Make it funny. And that's what we're working on now. So it is something that I've, kind of hidden in some regards. But now it's also like, I'm 25 years removed from it. And anybody who wants to judge me, stigmatize me, persecute me for it, go excuse me again. It's 25 years ago. And I say that.
It's that prison coming out of it.
It is, yeah, for real. I wish you would. No, I was a huge in prison.
I bet you were.
Literally and figuratively.
You should have had that wristband.
Stop bullying. But no, it is something that I've done. And, but it's crazy touring, doing comedy and leaning conservative. Conservatives do have, criminals deserve to be punished. Illegals should be deported. If you do the crime, you should do the time. And, far left liberal people feel like, everything should just be catered, given to you and forgiven. But even from a person who came from the system, I also believe in the system. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But if you do the crime, you should do the time too. I've been in there. There's a lot of people that need to be in there. That doesn't mean they should never come home, but I think a punishment should fit the crime. But all of this defund the police, screw that. You need the police,
Hey guys, let's take a break in the show real quick. I want to tell you about my friends over at United Patriot Supply. I'm a gun guy. I love my firearms. I love stockpiling my ammunition. I've got all the stuff out there, but sometimes you run into some things that are a little bit hard to find. That's when I turn to my good buddies over at UnitedPatriotSupply.com. They're not only my friends, they're partners with this show, and I'm proud to know them because they deliver. And let me tell you, When I say they deliver, if there's stuff out there you're looking for and you're having a hard time finding it, I guarantee you there's a very good chance they're going to have what you're looking for. So go out there and check them out, UnitedPatriotSupply.com. Right now, they got a deal going. When you buy a firearm, you can get up to 5 ounces of free silver with every order. So they got a silver incentive program because United Patriot Supply, they're also United Patriot Coin, and you've heard us talk about them as well. So you buy a firearm, you get silver with it. You get a free ounce of silver for every $500 you spend on guns. That's up to 5 free ounces. So you buy a $2,500 gun, guess what? You're going to get 5 pieces of silver. That's a pretty cool deal. So check it out. It's a combined promotion between United Patriot Supply and United Patriot Coin. And just get over there and get to know those guys. I tell you, you're going to love them, and they're going to be a regular stop and shop for you. So head over to UnitedPatriotSupply.com. I want to get into something. Remind me a little bit. I want to go over some lines here in a little bit that I've got jotted down. I'm always taking notes that never really become bits, but they should.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of a bit I want to do, talking about, I got a girlfriend. She's pretty wild and crazy. Like, she lets me do missionary. So, like, just the little throwaway lines that are in there. I think there's a buildup in that. But anyway, that reminded me of that line. I just jotted that down at breakfast this morning.
Well, she doesn't let me, but I'm stronger than her.
Dude, after 2 marriages, man, I'm finally with a girl who's wild and crazy. Dude, we do weird stuff. Like, she lets me do missionary and just do a little list of things. What was I going to ask you? Oh, I know what I want to do. I'm going to drink this. I shouldn't drink this because I've already had 2 cups of coffee, but if I'm,
Yeah.
You've been in prison, you know CPR, surely.
Yeah, for real.
You've beat on another man's chest.
You know mouth to penis resuscitation? What? Is this a thing?
Let me tell you, if there's some things that'll wake me up, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Probably it.
For real, we'll turn that soft launch. Never mind.
I'm addicted to these things. Celsius. I wish they were sponsors of this show. I don't think there's caffeine in this. I could be wrong. There's a bunch of other shit that'll kill you.
It's actually, I think, aren't those the healthiest of all of them?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm buying by the case, dude. This is an expensive case of, like, I drink every day alcohol. This stuff's more expensive.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, but I love them. I keep a fridge full of them. The ultimate fitness partner. Like, I do fitness. Yeah. What was I going to ask you? Talking about that. The recidivism rate, 97.3.
That's what it was, yeah. For people under the age of 30 who get out and have done more than 8 years.
That's insane. Like, but I can understand with you. Like, for instance, I've had people who have said things to me about you in the comedy industry, whether it's a management or agent, whatever. And they're like, but Jesse, and I said, listen, you got to understand, Jesse is sort of like a stray dog. He's a survivor. Right. He's had to survive. He hasn't always been. Just make yourself at home, Shotter. Kick stuff around. What happens when you let Asians in the house? You would think they'd want to start cleaning or something. Laundry. No, he's just kicking stuff over. Yeah. Love that kid. He ain't a kid either. I love him. Everybody's a kid to me. But you would think, like I tell people all the time, I say, Jesse's a hustler. Jesse's a stray dog. He's a survivor. He's out for every chicken bone he can get. And a lot of times certain things may not cross his mind, and the stuff that you think is normal in decent society, Jesse ain't the polite one. Like, he's kind of the mad Hungarian who's just out there to get it, which is one of the reasons I like to keep you around, because it's real and you don't take any crap off of anybody, including audience members. We've seen that. You got your bicep ripped when you knocked a dude's teeth out in Joplin, Missouri in the middle of my set.
Yeah. He heckled you, and I don't stand for that.
Don't you ever tell Chad Prather he's unfunny. He already knows it.
Yeah, right. He called you a redneck. I was like, not my friend.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You took
There's
him
more
outside.
to it than that. There's more to it. You can't lead with the, I went to prison for a decade for aggravated robbery, and then, like, he knocked a dude out for heckling. We're never going to get
the guy looked, he walked in, he was shady. We knew he was coming in because Zach had seen him out back, and he walked around front, walked in with a backpack on. He looked at the girls working at the merch table and said, "Are y'all ready to die tonight?" So
with no security there.
Yeah, with no security. No security. Joplin, Missouri. It was 750 people in the room, and he walks in the back and said, "Y'all ready to die tonight?" Jesse took care of.
Well, he reached for a pistol when I took him outside. He was like, "I'll shoot you." And as soon as he reached for a gun, I knocked him out. And mind you, I've been home 16 and a half years. That's the second time I've had a physical altercation in 16 and a half years.
We saw the security footage back. You know how Jesse thought? He thought he was coming out like Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
because I've been in a bunch of fights.
Jesse wound up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming at you, Daddy. And bam.
Yeah.
But you knocked the guy down.
Yeah. I flipped
Pretty
him.
strong.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't have a pistol either. So it was, and
He was reaching.
right, and she identified as a he, so it was a he according to liberal ideology.
Yeah.
So
his teeth identified as being there.
yeah.
But you walked up after I was done. You were emceeing the show too, and you came up you came up on the stage, and your knuckles were bloody as I was leaving, because normally you just kind of shake hands with people as you're leaving the stage.
And I had to elbow bump you
and I go, "What did you do?" Off mic, and you go, "I'll tell you in a minute." Come back there, and I looked at your arm, the bicep, which mine's done it too. There's my scar. Mine was from wakeboarding or not wakeboarding. Bicep was up here, and you were like, "Can I?"
I was like, anybody got any Advil? They're like, Advil's not gonna fix that, dude.
Yeah, it'll heal up.
I'm ever the optimist, man. That's what it was, and I just didn't want it to be bad, and it was bad.
Yeah.
So, but you came on your show here. Zach went on live, and because it happened at a show, and I was effectively, trying to defend the place where there was no security.
Yeah.
Your fans, my fans, and Zach's a lot, did a GoFundMe for me and raised enough money to pay for the surgery. Because obviously, I don't know what y'all know about the opening act for Chad Prather on tour, but it doesn't come with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So there was no health insurance to be had. So we paid cash for that. But and I'm sure some people seeing this contributed. So to all of you, I thank you immensely for that. That was a huge help to my my rehabilitation to get that done, because wasn't cheap. So.
And then a week later, he was at the Super Bowl and at the Waste Management at the golf tournament. So
I still work hard.
He used the money. He used the money for surgery. I had someone try to troll me. I don't know if you saw my post the other day about getting the barbecue sandwich with the potato chips and the tequila soda, and it was $62.
Right.
And I was like, damn. I mean, Houston's outrageous in the airport. I hate the airport now. I hate airplanes now. I historically fly 250,000 miles a year. The DEI stuff has ruined everything. Prices are inflated in Houston, especially. And then I made the comment under that, because that thing blew up to tens of thousands, depending on which page you're on. I mean, it might have 8, 9, 10,000 views on this thing, or reactions. Lots of comments. Because I said, this costs $62.18. Which I could go a lot of directions with that, but more importantly, I'm about to get on a Boeing airplane with United. And I didn't say anything about the price, but everybody was judging me like I was either bitching about it or I was stupid for having bought that. And this one guy who likes to troll the page, which I love those guys because it helps my algorithm. Of
course.
Somebody, the girl, Cindy, that works with me and does our merch and coordinates Prather tees and all that. And you'll meet her at live shows. Cindy, she texted me and she said, "Why don't you delete some of these negative people?" I said, "When I fill my quota, I'll start blocking a few of them. But I like to keep enough of them around because they keep the algorithm going, because they'll talk even when the supporters won't."
Right, absolutely.
So you keep the negative. People are like, "Why do you respond to these people?" I'm like, "Oh, it's good. This social media. We're having a good time. And plus you give them a hard time back and they're like, 'Oh, aren't you triggered?' No, I'm just boosting algorithms."
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
I'm sitting on the toilet and you're worried about it. So
I'm waiting till my legs get unnumb.
I'm just here waiting to get feeling back in my sphincter. But anyway, this guy, and I said, I bought 3 meals and drinks in Indianapolis the same weekend for $95. I said, so it doesn't really compare much. And the guy goes, "Oh, well, now we know you're lying. You saying you're paid for people's meals." I was like, "Well, they work for me. And yeah, that's the deal." He goes, "Well, you must be a shitty employer if they work for you and you don't pay them enough that they can afford their own stuff." I was like, "Maybe you've never had a job that involves travel, but typically the employer pays for the travel,
absolutely,
and the meals and the lodging."
You've never let me pay for anything on the road.
And so I'm like, "Now, if you're helping me make money, I promise you, I'm going to pay for you on your deal." But I thought that was kind of a funny attempted flex on that. People say the weirdest things, but yeah. There's not, I would say this, but what made me think of that is you talking about being an open and act. This is not an industry where people just get into and they get rich.
No.
I mean, live entertainment, and I could bring a host of people on here that you would look at online and say, wow, they're really successful. They really draw a crowd. They're really talented. They're really gifted. What was it that Billy D. Washington said under a Barry Lamanick post the other day? Or was it, I think it was Barry Lamanick, where he said, you got to be good to be famous. He said, you don't have to be good to be famous, but you got to be great to be successful.
Yeah.
And
Pretty profound.
I was like, why are you saying that to me, man? I wasn't even involved with the post. Why are you picking on me? But that resonates with me because I've always said I don't think I'm very good. I've always said that I'm able to take enough mediocre things that I can do, put them together, so at least it razzle dazzles you a little bit and says you know how to put those things together. Because I'm not crazy funny. I'm not crazy talented musician. I'm not none of those things. But I know how to put all those things together and do it. But a lot of people think, oh, you just do it. You got all the money in the world. Well, we don't. We work for everything we got, right? That's why I got 6, 7 businesses that I'm always doing.
And it's the same way, and I make more money in merch than I do doing comedy.
Right.
And you pay me handsomely. Zach definitely does too. And Dustin used to. Before his...
Now he's your roommate.
Yeah, now he's my roommate before he went homeless. And that's what happens when the algorithm... It's what happens when you don't engage. It's what happens when you block the haters.
Yeah.
So, I made real good money last year selling t-shirts. That's why at the end of my sets, I'm like, hey guys, I have a confession. I'm not even a comedian. I'm a t-shirt salesman with a 30-minute pitch. And that was it.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been successful at, is also finding alternative ways to make money doing this. It's selling the t-shirts, driving to venues instead of flying, trying to do everything to cultivate and make money, selling sponsorships, doing podcasts. And it's, I spent money buying that new couples therapy show that I bought to try to find another stream to be successful with it. So it's basically, there's different lanes for it too. Cause there's, Jim Jeffries talked about doing 9 specials for $50,000 or whatever it was, 9 hours, whatever the case was. And he was like, which sounds great, but at the end of the day, it's shit, it's dog shit money. And, that's why I may not be the funniest dude, but I'll always try to be the hardest working, because you can control that.
Well, that's it. And that goes, I always say to folks, well, this didn't originate with me, but it's true, we're not getting paid for the show. It's everything else involved. It's the planning, it's the promoting, it's the marketing, it's the travel, it's the getting there, it's the staying, it's away from home, it's, another night in a hotel room, it's more shitty food on the road. It's missing your family, missing your people, not being home, coming home to dog shit on the floor. There's that kind of thing, which I did 2 weeks ago. This room, anyway.
Yeah, I can smell it.
It's pissing Febreze up here. I literally just bought, so I just bought one of those Bissell Pet Super Green, it's like a lawnmower, but it's for your carpet. Yeah. And I was like, I could go rent one at the store, but the dog's going to keep pissing. So
right.
I bought one of those things, and I got to roll up cords up here in the cave and run over, because I can see everywhere where's that shitty dog? She go downstairs to piss. She went down there to piss.
Right. She don't want to do it here. That's when she gets beat.
Yeah. So so I'm like, everything is an expense. Everything is. But you're doing the podcast thing now.
Yeah.
And you and Super Mike are doing that. Is Unapologetic with Jesse Peyton, right?
Correct.
Way to steal that word, but whatever.
Yeah. We borrowed it.
Well, it's a good brand, Unapologetic.
It is.
I've been doing it for years. I went viral years ago with Unapologetically Southern. And I'm not into apologies. Like, you get it. We don't apologize. We don't say we're sorry. Look, she just comes running up here because she knew. She just come running up here.
Come here, shithead.
Yeah. Look at that dog. Look at that dog. She takes, her turds are as big as she is.
Yeah. My turds are as big as she is.
One doubts it.
Yeah.
But Unapologetic, we've always said, don't apologize, because if you do that, you're going to spend the rest of your life apologizing. And it's just a good word. It's a good brand.
I like to keep Unapologetic specific to comedy. Yeah. And I say that because how are we held to a standard where we say something that could be indicted or being taken literally for a joke we wrote to try to make you laugh? And I forgot what person said it, but it might have been Jeff Dye, whom I love, said, and it may not have been, but saying, how do you criticize me for the manner in which I tried to make you laugh? Like, how entitled can you be? And they're just jokes. Like, this shit's fiction, which I think people, like, I did the joke about my IUD joke. Like, I was, having sex with a girl and I felt her IUD. And the whole joke is, it's on social media. And people were going back, you can't really feel an IUD. It's in your cervix, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's a joke. And every comment, they want to like literally dissect what you're saying and to be taken literally. But why is that specific to comedy? Why is that, you know, we make a joke about, because I have a joke about a black joke. And then I come back and I do a joke about Democrats. And then I do a joke about Christians. You know, and then all the Christian people get mad. They laugh at the Democrat joke because most of them are Republican, but then they unfollow me and unmatch me and talk shit when I do a Christian joke. It's the same thing. If you do that, you're the problem. Make no mistake, you're the problem. If you're the person who does that, you only laugh at the jokes that align with your real beliefs. That's silly. Because again, Jim Jeffries is one of my favorite comedians.
I was going to bring him up.
And he is so far left, it's not even funny. This dude is borderline socialist, communist from Australia who's anti-gun, pro-abortion, anti-everything, conservative. But the dude makes me laugh hysterically because he's funny.
I can listen to his anti-Second Amendment stuff, and again, he's Australian, but he interprets it from an Australian perspective the way American culture is, and I'll die laughing at what he says about it, even though I absolutely oppose what he's saying.
Of course.
And I'm okay with that. It's funny to me, and I don't remember who the comedian was. I bring this up all the time, the guy who said, you know, it's not currency getting offended. You can't spend it. Right. Like, why are you collecting it? Just let it go. So the offendedness thing, that's why I kind of double down on social media posts. And when I'm marketing a show or promoting a show, I say, listen, don't come in with thin skin. Don't do it. Don't come in because Jesse's going to get you. I'm going to get you because if I smell weakness, we're going to go there. It's like we were doing Florida back in January, and that lady got on this Roll Tide thing out there in the deal, Alabama, because I made the comment I went to school at Georgia, and she's like, Nick Saban's the GOAT. I said, that lost his last game.
Right.
So, you know, I just going off on all this kind of stuff. It just doubled down on them.
It's just silly to me, though. Why is comedy the only art form that's scrutinized or taken literally? Because Leonardo DiCaprio can go do the movie Django as a slave owner and say the N-word with a hard R that you know it's not the first time this dude has ever said that word. And
rolled right off the tongue.
And you win Academy Awards for doing that. And the movie's great. I love the movie. But we also watch it knowing it's fiction, even though Quentin Tarantino wrote it and he puts it in every movie.
Every movie.
But why, when I make a joke that's extremely benign, but whether it be about a black person, a Christian person, or a Democrat, or a Republican, or Trump, whomever, it's taken literal. Don't talk about them like this. They're jokes. Like, how do people lose sight of that? And that's the unapologetic thing stemmed from that. There's a lot of things. Like, to the family I committed my crime against, I'm infinitely and endlessly apologetic to that family for what I did to them. I was a 17-year-old kid. I didn't realize the gravity of what I was doing. And I'm open on the internet apologizing for what I did. Now, Unapologetic is a brand for comedy. It's a brand for fiction. It's a brand for an art for what we do and what we live on in that realm specifically. Because it's not like we've all done things that we're apologetic for, actions that we've done off the stage. But when we're on the stage, it's lights, camera, action. They do an intro and it's a presentation, it's a production, it's a performance. It's not real. And the crazy thing is we're held to a standard where some people are consuming this as reality, which is fucking frightening. That's frightening that you sit on your internet and they message you saying, how do you not pay your employees enough? That's why do you take an act of altruism and flip it to be something negative? Like, what kind of surreal world are you living in? It's just mind-numbing to me. So the unapologetic was a word that I'd also used before we met. But then when we went on tour, I sent you a list of like, hey, tour names that we could do. I was so excited when you said you were going to take me on tour. It's like, what about this name? What about this? What about the cowboy and the convict? You're like, that's dog shit. I'm like, I was just kidding. It was a test to see if you'd like it. And then when I said the unapologetic tour, you were like, that's it. Final answer. Build the promo. And we did.
Well, and I too have always qualified it's one thing to say, I'm sorry to your wife. You know, I screwed up. I forgot the kids' recital. I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, I had to work late. I'm sorry. That's obviously not what we mean when we say unapologetic. We're just saying, listen, we're going to be ourselves. I be I, you be you. We're going to put it out there. Some things you're going to find funny. Some things you're not going to. Just don't laugh. That's okay. If you find that consistently that person that is popping up is saying things that you don't appreciate, well, then move on and find someone that you do appreciate. You don't have to tell that person that they're garbage and they're horrible and they must be a terrible human being. You don't have to troll them just because you disagree with them. See, I put humor videos, or I'm sorry, humor posts on X, my Twitter, whatever they call it. It's X now. I think I'm getting used to it being X. I always try to put something humorous in the thing. Like, they had the said the only time, it's odd that the only time Democrats stand up for men is when they pretend to be women, which is a blanket statement, but it should make you think, right? Yeah. Hey, LGBTQ and whatever other letters you want to add, Joe Biden just signed the bill banning pride flags from all U.S. embassies. I think this is when you're supposed to show your fake outrage. Kamala Harris was seen clapping and nodding along with a song in Puerto Rico protesting her. She doesn't have a clue in multiple countries.
Wow.
I said, Trump is back in court today with more allegations involving testimony from Stormy Daniels. It's the first time this many people have ever been interested in something coming out of Stormy Daniels' mouth.
That's hilarious.
So, stuff like that, you post it out there. It's like, it's humor. It's cringe humor. It's bad humor, but it's humor. And people they get pissed. They're like, she took him for $135,000. I'm like, he took her for $135,000, but that's neither here nor there. It's like, don't take it so seriously, guys. Right. We're just taking stuff, twisting a headline here. And they do, man. They really hate your guts for it.
And there's a line, like it's like you say, read the room, know your audience, and I consider myself to be pretty flexible with my act, it's at times you're like, almost like the Steve Urkel of comedy. Remember Steve Urkel from Family Matters? Did I do that? Like he got typecast for that show because he did that role so well. That show existed because of him. And he did that role so well that you're typecast into that. Well, I've seen you open up for Polar Bear in a room full of Hispanic people at the Arlington Improv. And no offense, but when you went up there, I was like, because I went before you and I had a really good set. And then you're going up and I'm like, all right, you're not in front of conservative people doing political humor. It's not going to translate here. You have to go do comedy. And you went up and killed. You killed that room, like almost standing ovation. And that was a hell of a show that we gave those people. But you were able to get out of that typecast or that an element where you can do political humor to politically motivated people. Because it's easy to look at a room full of conservatives and go, let's go, Brandon. And then they cheer and laugh and have a great time. That's not comedy. It's not a joke.
I said to Uncle Ronnie the other night, who travels with Zach Rushing, because Zach was in a particular audience they were his audience, but they were a little more subdued. They weren't his normal, whoa, we're ready to go burn down buildings for you. Literally. I mean, Zach Rushing could start a cult. It blows my mind. It blows my mind, the people that gravitate towards. Somebody said, what's his appeal? I said, some people like to be yelled at. Some people just like to be yelled at.
Yeah, right.
And so he, like I've said about certain churches with certain pastors that are fire and brimstone, it's like some people like to be browbeat. Some people just get off on that. They love a little bit of guilt in their life. Yeah. And so I said to Uncle Ronnie, because Zach was doing his thing, he was doing fine, but the crowd wasn't as loud as the night before. And I said, this is good for Zach because you have to learn to do every audience. I mean, that's true in life, right? You need to know how to handle every circumstance that comes your way. Some of them are going to be easy. Some are going to be the jobs you don't want to do. I said, he needs to do, and I use you as an example. I said, Jesse Peyton has done everything from bike rallies to 12-year-old pool parties. Mm-hmm. You literally did a show a couple of weeks ago where all the kids started flipping you off because, these parents bring these kids in, which God only, I don't know why they do that. We were in Wichita, Kansas, and you were 8 minutes into your set, and this family walks in with a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, sits front and center, the front freaking row, and we say 18 and up. It's an adults only show, but people do that, and I could hear you adjust right in the middle of the thing. You still killed it. And it was funny because I told them, those people were like, well, yeah, it's fine. They hear all this stuff on the ranch. And I was like, yeah, but these 600 people out here, they're afraid to laugh because of your kids.
Right.
And
it's a weird dynamic. No, absolutely. And so you have two options in this spot. You can plow through and you can be authentic and do your normal set. And I don't like the word authentic because it sounds, when you're not authentic, you're being disingenuous, but you can be not authentic to your normal act, but still be good in another realm. Like you were at Arlington Improv. You didn't do your same typical, you didn't wear the cowboy hat. You had a baseball cap on, and you did stand-up comedy that wasn't politically charged like your normal fan base is.
Yeah.
And with the kids, you have two options. One, you just say, F these kids and continue and doing your normal act.
You're going to learn today.
Or you water it down. And I did two different things. When we were in Wichita and there were two kids, I utilized that and made that funny, which the difference is I ironically pulled back on the acts, the jokes, and then put it on the fact that the kids were there is the reason I didn't say the bad word or the big punchline. And it was kind of inferred and everybody got it, but it was so overtly distracting that was the punchline at the time versus the actual punchline. Well, when we did the private show in Brenham with the kids there were no kids in the crowd when we did our set, but the guy came up and was like, dude, you were so funny. Here's $500, do 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
And the kids were in there then. I'm like, what about the kids? He's like, just do it like you normally would. We don't care. And that was when the kids were flipping us off. I got some funny videos and some funny footage, and it made it even better. Cause there were kids, like one kid, I was like, hey, do you have TikTok? What's your favorite cuss word? And they clam up. I'm like, say it. And one of the kids would be like, the F word. I'm like, which F word? You know, you're trying to get the kid to cuss, and they're all cracking up laughing. And then I go, what's your favorite cuss word? And his daddy, I saw it later, but the little kid, must have been 6. He just flipped me off, and it killed. Everyone erupted. And then when I went back and watched the video later, his dad goes, do this. And so he did it, and it erupted. So it's all about in the adjustment of how you handle it. So it doesn't make you disingenuous to curb those things, but it's also, comedy is being flexible. No, like you said, knowing your audience. When they pull back, because I have jokes where I say, you know, because you say we have a similar premise with the Donald Trump and grabbing women by the whatever. Yeah. Well, Donald Trump, quote unquote, said you can grab women by the pussy. And I do that as one of my opening jokes. And the joke is like, hey, I want to be Donald Trump famous, you know, because Donald Trump said when you're famous enough, you could grab women by the pussy. I found out 2 weeks ago, I'm not that famous yet. Silly little icebreaker joke that works. Well, when you go up there and you talk about Donald Trump, you say, he said, grab her by the pooty poo. You took the very polarizing word and made it pooty poo. You did your own P word, and it's more palatable for every audience. So I'll use that. I've learned from you that the joke can stay the same if you change the word that's offensive, or even if you don't say it at all and you let it be inferred. That, you know, because now that it's my opener, I can't just go up in front of one of your crowds, or Zach's crowds, where it's a conservative, right-leaning Christian fan base, and that's the first word out of my mouth. Yeah. But what I can do is go, I want to be famous like Donald Trump, because Donald Trump said when you're famous enough, you could just walk up and grab girls and just do the implication of it, and they infer it, and it gets the point across without saying that word. And then sometimes people will shout the word out.
They'll shout it back to you.
And then you're like, oh, okay, this is what kind of crowd we're dealing with. And you can go that route. Or when you say it and they pull back, then you can say, okay, this is where we're at. And that's the part of being a professional and being flexible on stage to not ostracize the people who are hypersensitive to those kind of words, but you can still be funny to those people.
What do you think it is about certain words that people find offensive? Right? Like, I don't think of words as being offensive. Like, I don't, like somebody says it's a curse word. I'm like, it's a word that somebody made up to.
Like Joe Rogan said, it's a sound that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah. What do you think that is? I mean,
is
it just mores of the culture that you grew up in?
Absolutely. 100%. Because there's 10 words for a vagina that you can say. Vagina safe in most capacities. But the P word is extremely hard and abrasive.
The C word's worse than that.
Yes. I mean, it can be, but Zach Rushing, who is coined a motivational comic, uses that in the first 2 minutes of his act. You know, this hunt, and then like exclamation point, all caps. It's not subtly worked in. It's not, hey, stop acting like a C word. It's this C word, exclamation point. Like it's a proper noun. And
it's like we laughed all weekend long about Zach Rushing's bit about going to Wendy's. He said, I hate that redheaded bitch. That's such a funny bit.
But anyway. It's just the, it's societal. It's like you said, it's the cultural mores.
But you try to explain that to somebody, they don't get it. Like they've been told it's evil. They've been told that it's evil. There's a lot of people say, well, the Bible says, well, the Bible talks about curses and cursing. That's not the same thing as cussing.
Right.
Right. It's not, and I won't get into all that stuff, but there's a big difference in that whole thing.
It's semantic, obviously. And I think it's very cultural too, you know, I mean, because like, vagina is a soft word for something that is very taboo. Very abrasive, especially.
I love how that's the go-to word that you keep using as an example.
Because
you know what? Let's stick with vagina.
It's because, you know, it's just like, so case in point, I have the joke about, you know, the V and the Q. And it was like, you know, I was like, I used to have a V when I had a six pack, but then I had this big round belly, this tiny little dick. And then, you know, and then that would get a lot of pushback. But with you, I started, when I was opening for you, I said this big round belly and this tiny little penis.
Yeah.
And when you make it nasally penis, it's sillier, but I started doing penis in comedy clubs opening for Eddie Griffin, where it's okay to be vulgar and it's endeared and esteemed and edified to be vulgar. But it was funnier when you soften it up. It's just like the joke where I used to say, I don't like when my wife talks during sex because I have to open my eyes and remember it's her.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me a douchebag on stage. Like, you're a prick for doing that. But I made the same joke and I flipped it. I go, my wife doesn't let me talk during sex because then she has to open her eyes and remember it's me. And then that's a way bigger laugh.
Yeah.
Because it makes it self-deprecating and it puts the joke on me. So you can write the same joke and steer it to accommodate whatever audience level that you have for their measure of discretion.
That's just part of being a pro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of being a pro.
And you learn when you hit that wall of like, hey, this joke normally kills. And then it's like, zip, like somebody took the needle off the record and you're like, what the hell happened?
I try to be, like I did three nights with Zach. Zach's crowd can handle Zach. So it's like, you know what you can get into. Right. I dropped a couple of shits in Cedar Rapids. But other than that, there were strategic shits, right? There was not a single F-bomb. The last show you and I did together where I was talking about how women communicate and it's like, right. And it's like all we hear from you is no. Right. Like we don't understand it. So and you're like, oh, you're not listening to what I say because we can't effing understand you.
Right, yes.
And I did that whole thing, but it just hit that one thing. It was a huge laugh. But it was like, I've never said that line before. I'll probably never say it again. It was just funny in that moment, the way it popped off. And yeah, I don't know. It's some people, you know, send you a message. They get online. They send you a message. I don't understand why you're so vulgar. I don't understand why you travel with Jesse Peyton or Dustin Sibbs. I'm like, because I find them funny.
Right.
I find them funny.
And I think I don't know if it was Steve Trevino. I have a lot of mentors in this game, but they said if you do a room in a neutral environment, and you're not doing a lot of neutral rooms because they're your fans that come to see you. Yeah. But if I open up for Steve Trevino and it's 450 people at the Houston Improv and none of them came to see me, but I do my act and 50 people liked me, 40%, 50% liked me, 40% absolutely love me, 5% were like, he's not my cup of tea, I would never go see him again, and the other 5% absolutely loathed you, you did good. Yeah. You did great. Like, that's a good distribution because there's a reason Eddie Griffin's a comedian, Dave Chappelle's a comedian, Jeff Foxworthy's a comedian, Jeff Dunham's a comedian, Chad Prather's a comedian, and Chingo Bling is a comedian. It's because, just like music, why does Jimi Hendrix and, you know, Morgan Wallen, why are they both musicians? Because they appeal to a certain genre. They play a certain genre that appeals to a certain group of people. One doesn't discount the other. They're both still great musicians, but it's what do people like? What's more palatable for them? So just because I get every day, you're unfunny. Actually, what I get most of the time on my social media posts is you skip leg day. Or I get this is unfunny, or you're just, you know, you're pandering to conservatives, or, you know, this joke was a meme in 1987. And I'm like, there were no memes in 1987. There was no internet. You're a fucking idiot. You know, but you get those things. But for every one negative comment, you have 250 likes, you're doing something right. So I think that's critical.
You, every time I'm around Zach Rushing, Zach always makes a comment about you. He's like, all he talks about is comedy. And I was like, that's his life. I love it. That's what he does. Do you ever, like, you don't really sit around thinking about political things. You have a political audience if you come open for me, because those people come. But then my audience is interesting because some people are there for comedy. Some people think they're there at some kind of church service. Some people think they're there for a motivational speech. Some people think they're there for a political rally.
Right.
And you just never know with that whole deal. They find out real quick, though. But you don't really think about politics a lot.
Okay, so before I met you, I had a joke that it was like, I'm not a real political guy. I was like, but I don't make jokes about the Clintons. I repeat, I don't make jokes about the Clintons. And I was like, if you email Hillary Clinton, is that considered a suicide note? And that was the only like political thing that I leaned into. I did the Donald Trump joke, which I've been doing a long time. And then I remember saying, I'm not a political guy. I don't even know who the vice president is. And this is 2018, 2 years into Trump's presidency. I literally didn't know. So I remember writing jokes, and I'm sitting with my spiral notebook. I grabbed my phone to Google who's the vice president. This is not a joke, y'all. I'm 38 years old at the time. Didn't know the VP was. And then I put my phone away and literally said, I'm going to keep that joke authentic. I don't want to know who the president is. And somebody shouted that out in a crowd. They were like, Mike Pence. And I'm a big Astro fan. So I'm like, Hunter Pence, the right fielder for the Astros? Like, holy shit. Like, how does he play right field when he's, at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? And, and it was just silly, but I didn't know anything about politics. So the crazy thing is now is, what do they call it? The red pill something, I thought common sense was politics. Like my political things. And I'm pretty in the middle on a lot of things. I'm not all the way conservative. I think weed should be legal. My dad was a raging alcoholic. The only time he wasn't a fall down drunk who was abusive was when he smoked weed. That should be legal for him. And, I'm pro-choice. If that puts people off or has you unfollow me then. I don't give a shit if you're going to talk reality. I'm actually in the middle, but the gender thing blows my mind. And it's funny how you say that, because I do only talk about comedy. I love comedy more than anything in the world. And but if you go through my reels on social media, which are algorithms that like are programmed to think better than you think and know you better than you know you, it's all climate change protesters getting run over, which is my favorite thing in the world to watch on the internet. If you're sitting on the highway and some dude backs over you in a Z71, my wiener gets hard. It's amazing. It's my favorite thing. It's like porn. Like, I don't care that Pornhub went away. As long as climate protesters keep getting run over, I'll have my own Pornhub.
For those of you outside of Texas, you can't access Pornhub.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In Texas, because Attorney General Ken Paxton.
I forgot you have fans outside of Texas. All my fans are inside the loop in Houston.
So you can't access Pornhub in Texas.
Anymore.
There's a lot of depressed people out there.
So that being said, but it's like I didn't even know climate change.
Slap that dog. She's chewing that little piece of bone that fell off of that deer head right there.
I didn't know climate change
gonna die on
was
that thing.
A political whatever. I didn't know it was political. I didn't know gender was political. Like I thought it was just fucking common sense. I thought it was just normal. Even when COVID happened, I didn't know it was all going to be weaponized, that everything's utilized for that. So no, I don't think about it. But I think like the far left and the far right are just insanity. The people are just crazy. So no, I don't just sit around thinking about it, but it's comical to watch. It's entertaining for me. The people with purple hair screaming, and it's like, what are you doing?
Well, it goes back to that offendedness thing we were talking about earlier. These people are sitting there looking, they got their antenna up looking for something to be pissed off about. And that's on both sides. And like, do you even care who gets elected president this year?
100%.
Do you care?
100%. I 100% do. And because you even said this, like I'm the starving dog, or I don't forget what analogy you used. Stray dog, who I live off the land.
Or at least to qualify that, that's what you came from, right? Like that's what you.
Yeah, I didn't take it offensively, and I'm not saying it to be self-deprecating. I pride myself on that.
Yeah,
you know, because I look at people. I look at people and I gauge success on who made the most out of the least. Like Kevin Hart was always going to be an empire. The dude's otherworldly funny. His work ethic's out of control. He's immensely talented. He was always going to be successful. Now I look at Matt Rife, who is a B- comic, who does B+ crowd work, but he has A+++ social media presence. He's very self-aware, and he utilizes what he has and gets the maximum ROI for what he does. And the reason he just made $25 million when he used to go drive 6 hours in California to open up for Ralphie May, RIP, who's from Houston, to do for $100 when he was 16 years old. He worked the hardest and he made the most from the least. Is he the most talented? No, he's not, but he was able to capitalize on it. So that's what I want to be. Those are the people to whom I aspire, because you already have your innate abilities. Like your strengths are your strengths, but it's like you said, you're not the most talented musician. You're not the best singer in the world. You're not the best comedian in the world. But when you push all of those things together and you build a brand that gets max value from those things, to me, that's commendable, because that's not what everybody else can do. Like we have inherent talent. Nobody gave you didn't earn that. That was just given to you, So for me, it's like, I'm the guy who's going to get to the venue at 2:30 in the afternoon and set up a merch booth to do a show in Virginia Beach that I drove 20 hours to just to make $500 opening up for Zach Rushing. But I'm going to make $3,000 selling t-shirts after the show. And I'm going to come home with a $10,000 weekend that anybody else would have made $300.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because there's a lot of people out there who do exactly what you do, and they would be content to still go out there and just make $200, and that's all they're gonna get. Our buddy Jeff Canada, all right, musician here in the Houston area. So he made a post the other day, and I pick on Jeff. He doesn't mind it. He picks on himself enough. Mm-hmm. But he said, "I'm so sick of everything being political." I'm like, dude, it can't not be anymore. You're literally forced into it,
of course,
at this point. So you're driven to it. You could set out to not be political, and now Jeff Dye, you mentioned him earlier as a comedian. I don't think Jeff Dye started out to be some political comedian, but now, and I don't think he started out to try to be some kind of right-wing guy. And I don't know that he is.
He's just a common sense guy.
But he just makes fun of the culture that everybody says is normal, and it's not freaking normal. And that's the kind of thing that'll get you canceled these days. So you're kind of forced into it.
And you asked if I care who's elected. 100%, because I am pro hard work. I'm pro, if you work the hardest, you should be compensated the most.
So you're not for reparations? You don't think the white churches should be? That's the recent headline is.
What did Rob Schneider say? He goes, asking a group of people to pay reparations for a crime they committed to a group of people that didn't experience the crime,
for something they didn't do to people that they didn't experience.
Yeah, it was the stupidest thing. It's like having the meme about the little 5-year-old Asian girl owes me for Pearl Harbor, or blaming her for Pearl Harbor. It's just, it's asinine.
But what he said is that's like paying child support for a kid to a woman that you didn't
sleep with.
You didn't have sex with.
Yeah, you didn't have sex with, and a kid that's not yours. Wow, which is, you're right. I forgot but I remember, I think we all shared it. Like, I had sent it to you, you'd sent it to me. It's silly to think how politicized all those things are. But I feel like the left it's goofy, it's unfounded, it's irrational, it's illogical. And all of this like entitlement, let's slow the rest of the herd down to keep up for the one person in the back. Let's not, the anti-bullying thing's silly. I think bullying's terrible. It also toughens people up in some degree. Now, should it be to a point of, kids, committing suicide, being bullied, beat up, persecuted? No, absolutely not. But to bubble wrap the entire world, you're giving them a false sense of what the world's actually going to be like when you get out into it, And I remember being 10 years old and my mom made me cook and clean and do their laundry and make their lunches for work and set up the coffee pot for my dad and clean all the house, do all the laundry, mow the yard, because when you get out, you're going to have to do those things.
Yeah.
And it was preparation for that. And then now it's like, I don't know. So it's the softening of the next generation, the pussification is and it's unfair to them and to us. So I believe in pull up your fucking bootstraps, because I came from less than nothing. You understand that? Like I didn't come from nothing.
You were your mother raised you.
My
right?
father was there, but yeah.
So but still your mother raised you.
Of course. Yeah. And
how old was she when she had you?
17.
Yeah.
So she was real young, and we basically grew up together, typical white trash. And but we had to instill those things. And it's like and I refer everything to comedy. It's funny. Like all my like quotes are from comedians, but it was John Mulaney who said, it's crazy now how parents are going and defending their kids for being disruptive in school or cussing out teachers. And then I could have had any adult in the world say I did anything wrong and I was getting my ass beat as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, I knew how to respect authority though. And I knew, granted, I fucked up and had my own, you know, tribulations along the way, but I knew right from wrong. And it wasn't because I wasn't taught that. So all of this, like, I'm not going to spank my kid. The teachers aren't going to, you know, they have no rights to, you know, and granted, public school's freaking retarded now with, you know, the pronoun thing and all of this stupid shit they're teaching kids with drag shows in schools. I think that's just ridiculous.
But it's okay to bring your kid to a Jesse Peyton show and have him flip them off.
It's comedy.
Groomer's gonna groom.
they got to know the difference. So it's just silly.
There were no tallywhackers there.
It's just the things that we call comedy for me are like silly, goofy entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, and I love watching, you know, the Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and Michael Knowles and all these guys and Charlie Kirk and these, you know, post up outside colleges and say, ask me.
It's fascinating to me that you even know those names.
Yeah, no, I love, those are all the guys I follow. And not because, and I think they're all very brilliant, eloquent, articulate people. But it's the people that they challenge. Candace Owens, like when she goes in, like, explain this to me. And then they're like, do you think your rhetoric is causing suicide? And no, right. No, like these are the, you know, so it's just silly, the deflection and the entitlement of you can't say these things because this is how somebody may react to it. And it's like, why don't we address the illogical, unfounded, dramatic reaction and not the person who says something.
My buddy Spencer James has got a bit about cyberbullying. He says, what is cyberbullying? He said, my kid's being bullied online. You know how you fix it? Click.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's what I said.
But there's people who got pissed. I mean, they get pissed off at that bit when he does it because you don't understand.
Yeah. I was like, and I had a similar. I was like, yeah, you know how to stop the war on cyberbullying? Airplane mode. It's over. Like, it's that simple.
It's done. Insta-block.
It's just silly that, you know, those things are done. You're letting a 5-year-old pick their gender when they, you know, can't pick their outfit.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I remember I was the last kid to go through puberty in my whole class. I remember and I played sports. I was athletic. I was an athlete growing up. And I remember being 5 foot, 100 pounds, a freshman in school in the locker room on the JV baseball team with the varsity guys with a fucking goatee and a tattoo. And I'm next to this dude without armpit hair. And I'm like, I felt so inadequate. You know, fortunately I had a smart mouth and I could, you know, defend myself verbally. But I remember that feeling of inadequacy that was like palpable, that if now that we uplift the LGBT community and kids can see this, and with the exposure to the internet now, that they're like, man, maybe all of this can be eradicated and all this insecurity that I feel if I just tell people I'm a girl and when I'm not, just to get this, you know, to go away, and maybe I'll feel more accepted and included even though you're not. And then you know, you can be overreactive and your parents are super stupid and liberal and they, you know, let you do the hormone therapy and cut off your ding ding. And then now you've done this just to get away from an inadequacy you felt when you're 10 years old, which every prepubescent kid feels some measure of inadequacy. But if you do it as a permanent resolution and now you wake up and you're 30 years old, like, oh my God, I don't have a dick. I'd love to be a father. It's too late, but you made a decision when you were 10. I know what it's like being a kid, a teenager, making a decision that affects the rest of your fucking life. It's real.
Yeah, because you're 30 years old and you're like, I wish I had something to slap around, and God knows I don't have a wife. No penis, no wife. I got nothing to beat.
So my political entertainment is basically like, I wake up every day, and when I go through reels and it's the climate protesters getting run over, I'm like, oh, I hope that broke his leg. Like, I wish the worst on these people when I scroll. It's amazing. And it's like, there's no way I watch that and feel sorry for that person. And when I see all these people advocate for kids to be able to hear about drag shows in school, and mothers walking around with their 18-month-old going, this is a they, them. No, it's not. And that's child abuse. To me, it's so Bozo the Clown. Yeah. It's like, how is this real fucking life? Yeah. And it's just silly. Now, in the same vein, if you're a 30-year-old gay man like my buddy Eric, I love Eric to death. Like, I flirt with him, give him a hard time.
He loves you back.
He loves me to death. You know Eric, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways, he's a great dude. He's a grown man who's married to another man. I support their marriage. To me, if y'all want to do that and that's what you choose, have at it. Live your life. But to do it to kids, you're overstepping. And to do it to somebody who can't make up, and to influence that. What did Charlie Kirk say? We're in the gayest generation ever. Back in the day, it was 1 out of 100. And now it's like
well, when you have A-list Hollywood celebrities with 4 transgender children, you're manufacturing oppression.
Of course it is.
You are so privileged that you're literally dreaming up ways to be persecuted.
Right.
To feel persecuted.
Did you see that video of the 2 little boys? He's probably 4 and 6. It could be 5 and 7, whatever. And their mom is in the back, and they're like, tell him what you just said. He's like, I don't know if I'm LGBT. And the little boy says, and if I was, that's okay. It doesn't matter which one I am, as long as I'm part of the community. My mom says it's going to be all right. Like, she's like, not...
That's grooming.
It's grooming. She's literally not just grooming. Accepting, she's encouraging and steering and grooming, I guess would be the same word. But it's the same thing. Like, you're grooming them to be that for your own, look at me, I have this
you're literally creating a future adult that will have to wear a do not bully wristband.
And this is capitalism. This isn't diversity, equity, inclusion. This is capitalism, because I sell these at shows for a lot of money. So people ask that too. They're like, what kind of comedy do you do? I'm like, capitalistic. It's for the money. Yeah. And I told you that. Like, this is how much of an act it is for me. And I've told you this, and I'm going to say it on your show. And I know your fan base and mine. Comedy is so much a job for me, and so not real. It's such an act, and it's so fictional for me that, and I make good money doing this. You pay me great. Zach pays me great. I work hard to make a lot of money in a lot of ways. But if I was to make double this to do all woke comedy, tomorrow I would have a BLM tattoo here, a pride flag tattoo here. Make no mistake, in BLM, I know you got the money. Okay, LGBT community, I know you got the money. This real estate, 100% for sale. Because above diversity, equity, inclusion, I am a capitalist first. And that's what kind of comedy I do. So I will sell out tomorrow. The price is $1.5 million.
Think about it.
No, it is.
Come up with a good number.
Literally, because I already said, like, and it's
listen, I'm risking losing a good opener.
Yeah,
but I can replace one. I can replace him.
Yeah, there's guys that can definitely do what I do.
He's got neck real estate.
I will sell out for the number to completely switch and give up conservative fan base and do completely woke comedy, which has to be easy to write. Let's be honest. Writing comedy about your 17 gender spectrum fluid shit, it has to be easy. 1.5 million a year.
The problem is,
I'm gonna do it.
You'd get the money and the tattoos, and I don't think you could do the comedy. Like, I think you would go into that room and you would end up making fun of those people because it's such a conviction of yours that that's not who you are. Like, I think you'd wind up making fun of those people to the point where you would suddenly be apologetic to her.
The cool thing is, they're so stupid they won't get it. They probably
wouldn't understand. I think he's making fun of us. He's making fun of us, and you know what? They're sitting there by themselves, calling themselves us.
And you know how crazy it would be that I would go from selling merch for $35 a shirt, now I got to drop it to $8 to accommodate your stimulus check income? It'll be terrible.
This shirt is made from hand-grown hemp. Southern California. This is recycled. This is manufactured with recycled bong water.
I'm not a real political guy, but I am a common sense guy. Like, I think a penis makes you a man. I don't think that means you can't be sexually attracted to another man. 'Cause
Are you?
Not anymore.
Have you ever been?
Not anymore. I mean,
I've seen a pretty man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm watching the show The Physical 100 now with all these Asian dudes that look like, Shy, and not you. Put your arms down. Guys that
Shy literally just flexed over there from the production table.
Yeah, they don't do production; they do push-ups. But I'm looking at these dudes like, holy, because I know like the work that went into that. It's
so you like Asians?
Yeah, because if I'm gonna take a booty, you take it in a booty. It's gonna be from an Asian. How do you like your dick? I like it riddle. Hey, you don't be mad because you brought me on this show.
I'm not mad.
And this is the direction.
Listen, I'm not. Listen, the producers up in Dallas said we want you to do longer form, longer conversations, and I'm like, look. You got to understand, people are going to say whatever they're going to say.
I was in a wedding in California.
I don't censor people.
My buddy Anthony, a Hispanic dude out there, and he had this guy come up, and he's got his like tuxedo with only the top button buttoned and the rest is open. And he's got tattoos all on his neck, sunglasses on. He's a little cholo dude, and he's walking around. I mean, the dude's 5'1", 140, like walking around just like this. And my buddy Anthony, the groom, was like, hey, you guys keep it together. Like, behave. This is my wedding. I'm marrying a white girl, and her family's here. Don't fuck this up. And Peanut, the little Mexican dude, goes, fuck that, Holmes. You knew who I was when you invited me here.
You knew exactly what you were getting.
So when all of this happens in the conversation and the people in South Africa review this, just know you knew who I was when you invited me here.
Well, one of the reasons that I started doing this show this way is I wanted to get away from, The Blaze was all about doing daily headlines and stuff like that. And they kind of, that's their production teams. That's the way they think. And I was like, no, I want to get back to the legitimate world of podcasting where you sit down and have a stream of consciousness conversation. And since we've been doing this show in this iteration of it since the beginning of the year, we've gotten far more attention, far more clout out of it. Getting far more invitations. I used to have a ton of stuff going on. Then I went on the Blaze and things kind of went dry. In terms of like I used to be on Fox and Friends, and then I was, all these people were wanting me on their shows. All these celebrities were reaching out, and then so now it's starting to happen again. Like this week I got a message from, and I'm going somewhere with this story, but I got a message from Megyn Kelly, who's like the #3 podcast in the world. And she's like, we want you on the show. We love your show. We want, we're big fans of you. She gave me a shout out on her show a couple of weeks ago on something I tweeted.
Wait, she watches this? Cut. Let's start over, Shy.
Let's go. Let's back up on this thing. I doubt she's this far in. But, and she's like, I want you to come on the show, April 15th. I want you to come on the show. And I was like, that's a little reward for me. Like, I love that. That's a bucket list thing. Yeah. It'd be sort of like going on Rogan, which they've hinted around at times of me going on Rogan. Right. I'm like, I'm not doing anything to change the world.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for Rogan to be talking to me. There's certain little bucket list items out there. There's like I'm performing at Mar-a-Lago.
With Roseanne.
Yeah, actually, if you're watching this and it's Tuesday night, which I think this is what you're watching, this tomorrow night with Jim Brewer and Roseanne.
That's awesome, man.
And Big Donnie will probably be in the room. We'll see.
That's awesome.
But that's huge. Like, that's a bucket list item you didn't know you had. To go do 10 minutes at Mar-a-Lago, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what 10 minutes.
Yeah, grab her by the pooty poo.
You know what I'm always talking about? Like, I can sit on the toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning. I can tweet something. I don't care what it is. But I think I'm going to put it up. I'm going to say cafefe. They're going to talk about it. It's going to be like a laser pointed at cats.
His Adderall wore off.
Adderall wore off, and I fell asleep with my finger on the keyboard.
No, but I like this format. This is cool.
But what I was going to say is being able to, to have a real conversation and break through the exterior into the surface and get to know people. Like, I love that stuff, and I love being able to do it. And I think that it's a good thing. If people are offended, again, we'll go back to offended, which is dumb. It's a dumb concept to me. And by the way, the Bible thumpers out there, you go read the Psalms. It says, I love the word to the point where nothing offends me. That's my paraphrase. But it says, I love your word to the point where nothing offends me. So maybe you should love the word more and you won't get offended. And so I sit there and I go, if you're going to get real, if we're going to get real and this society is going to survive, we've got to be able to hear differing opinions. We've got to be able to hear other ideas and listen to them, because I think that's critical thinking requires that, right? I said yesterday, I was a little tequila in, but that's when I tweet the best. And I was talking to a group of veterans, retired Army guys, and they all said when we go to the doctor, the first thing they ask us is, because he was talking about this one guy, he left the military because they were requiring the vaccine. And he said, when we go to the doctor, the first question they ask us is, have you been vaccinated? Mm-hmm. So I got on there and I said, why is it that when these veterans are going to the doctor, that's the first thing that they're asked? People are like, that's not happening. You didn't serve. You don't have a clue. You blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm literally sitting here talking to veterans who are telling me their stories about these things. Like, and people like, it's like, I understand that you have to double down and really, truly believe that putting 19 shots in your arm was a good idea, because now you're secretly scared to death that maybe we're right. That you just gave yourself, myocardial infarction. It is not yet, but one time at 3:00 in the morning, you are going to shit the bed and get up and pass out and have a heart attack and die on the cold porcelain floor like Elvis did in front of the toilet.
Wasn't that the evolution of COVID? It was like the regular COVID, then Omicron, then Alpha, then Delta, then autism, then... I don't know the order.
Extra chromosome.
I don't know the order, but it's one of those.
Yeah.
So yeah,
dude, my phone is blowing up with people who I've not literally heard from in years, and it is just sitting here going off. I'm like, it's like, did I say something bad on Facebook that was a typo?
That's funny. I remember waking up to 143 text messages to something like that. That was yeah, and we can't talk about that. Anyways,
I almost, and she's going to kill me. She won't get this far into the podcast either. I was in a hotel room a couple of weeks ago, and I fell asleep with my phone. Sometimes you just fall asleep next to your phone. Yeah. You're reading something. I read books on my phone, something this and there. And I fell asleep. CJ had sent me a reasonably provocative little picture, sexy little number, and it was I had saved it. I wake up. The Instagram stories are open. That picture is there, literally waiting for the story. All I would have had to do is share to my story.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how Instagram got open. I don't know how that picture got pulled up. But I woke up to literally one button away from me being forced to commit suicide. Because that's what would have happened.
Would have had to happen, because I know CJ. You would have had to.
Yeah, so sometimes, because to know CJ is not that person at all. No. Oh, now, she'll wear stuff that shows her cleavage, or she wears tight little dresses or whatever. I can't wait to see Donnie Trump around her at Mar-a-Lago. She's been around Trump. I mean, she's been around Trump a few times. But like, I see, she's not that person. She's not that person. She is the mom. She's the mom. And she tries, that's her whole thing. But I was like, oh my gosh, dude. So when my phone starts blowing up like that, I'm like, did I accidentally post something that people are telling me that,
you never know.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. There's a typo.
Right, yeah.
There's a titto.
There's a titto. That's fucking
all right, where can people find you? Where's all the places?
The biggest one is going to be Sam Houston Race Park. April 27th for my big birthday show. Me, Dustin Sims. You're going to be on the road, so you can't come. But y'all come out. It's going to be a fun show. We got tickets at sweettickets.com or Sweet Seats. SUITESEAT. Sweetseats.com. Jimmy Rogers and Valor Entertainment's putting that on. Social media at Jesse is Funny on Instagram. Things are blowing up there. I post content and reels almost daily. TikTok, Jesse is Funny 420, which is my birthday. I don't smoke weed. And then on Facebook, Jesse Peyton Comedy, which we're almost to 100,000 followers, dude. We started the year with the last year with 5,000.
Talk about real quick. You have this $1 million idea thing that you're doing. I've touted it up. You've talked about it everywhere we go. You have the specific show that you're putting out, and I'm telling everybody, if you got a chance, grab your date, grab your wife, grab your significant other, and go to this particular show. What is it?
Well, it's called Couples Therapy, and what it is, it's basically a relationship-themed comedy show that parodizes relationships. And it's basically me and 3 of the comics. We each do 15 minutes of a relationship-themed material. So you hear a lot of vulgar stuff out of my mouth. If you watch my social media, you'll see a lot of, darker jokes. This isn't the show for that. This is basically relationship jokes, jokes about marriage, when I was married, when I was single, dating apps, funny things along those lines. Perfect for married couples, perfect for first dates, perfect for a guy who's trying to sleep with his girl, because we make sure that happens a lot. So the show is very, very unique in the fact that it's very relationship oriented with me and 3 other comics. And then at the end of the show, we do a panel with all 4 comics coming back on stage, including one couple from the audience that we pull on stage, and we take questions from the audience that they submit via cue card, comment card during the show, and we read those out loud. We pull them out of a bucket. So the questions can be serious questions. Hey, how come my husband isn't attracted to me after 30 years? It might be a silly question like, hey, how come my wife won't have a threesome? And we as comics make those impromptu. We make those things funny. We talk, we respond to those questions, and we answer them. And then we also allow the couple, usually the couple who's been married the longest, in the crowd to answer those questions as well from a very literal or funny standpoint. The show's very unique, very, it casts a wide net, because if you're dating somebody, you're in a relationship, it's the perfect date show. And it's also, it's just a fun time. And unlike comedy, like we talked about the genres of comedy, you don't have to like Jeff Foxworthy, you don't have to like Dave Chappelle, you don't have to like Eddie Griffin, Chad Prather, or Zach Rushing, or me. You can just come and enjoy a show that has very neutral relationship themed comedy. So it's a great show. It's taken off. We were booked in 10 cities already this year. So we're going to be in Shreveport, Louisiana. We were in Shreveport, Louisiana last week, Addison and Marble Falls. Upcoming, we're going to be back in Oklahoma at the Duncan Theater, the show I did with you. They booked the show. And then Tulsa Looney Bin and Addison Improv again. They're already booking the second show. We sold a show out there on Tuesday night. Yeah. So the show's taken off. It's called Couples Therapy. The website is live at couplestherapylive.com. You can follow that link from Jesse Peyton Comedy, or Jesse Peyton, any of my social medias, or jesseisfunny.com. Show is wildly hilarious. Huge return rates on that. So a lot of good reviews. We've got nothing but 5-star reviews. So it's been great. Thank you for doing that. It's going to be big.
It's $1 million idea. I'm just telling you, that's going to be a huge show. It's already a huge show. It's going to be huge. It's going to be quite honest. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Bigly. All right. WatchChad.com is where I am. That's where all the fun stuff is. And of course, you can catch us in Canyon Lake at Goofy's. So if you're in the San Antonio area, New Braunfels, that area of Texas, roll down and hang out. There ain't no place to stay down there. I mean, well, there's Camp Femfo, which is a campsite. They actually have lodges over there. But
if you're San Antonio, Austin, New Braunfels, Canyon Lake, you're driving distance to home. It's worth an hour. It's gonna be a good show.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Those people show up too, and they have a good time.
They do.
Like that's a cool place. Those people have some drinks, and it's
good food too.
Yeah, it's good. I was telling CJ's family, because we went there and had lunch with Teresa that owns it, and we went there and had lunch because we were staying at Camp Femfo, which is over there by Whitewater, and we're going back again, I think, in May. We go every year to Camp Femfo and hang out for a few days. And I took them up there on a Sunday for lunch, and Teresa was there and all that stuff. My picture's hanging over the cash register and the whole thing. I just want to be like, I'm famous.
Like, you used a fake credit card or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Do not look out for this guy. Yeah,
don't accept his checks. Don't accept his checks. But I was like, I want to go someplace where they can, I'll be showing them I'm famous. I'll go in there and they'll recognize.
Yeah.
But I love that place. It's cool. She has us in there every year, and it's going to be fun. So we'll be over there.
It's big for me. It was the first Unapologetic tour stop. So yeah. I love it, man.
And we got a bunch of club dates coming up this year. Kansas City. We'll be back in Tulsa. We'll be back in Ohio, multiple dates. Tampa. I think I'm going to go back to Virginia Beach and those places too. So you'll probably be with me on that. And nice. We'll be back in Tampa and Wesley Chapel. There's a bunch of stuff. So anyway, check us out, hang out with us, and follow Jesse. Follow him, please, God, because I'm so tired of him being just calling me up, going, dude, I can't get an audience.
Never said that.
I can't get anybody to laugh.
Yeah.
Super funny. Jesse is funny. All right, guys. What else? PratherTees.com. You can also drop me an email about the show, chad@thechadprathershow.com. I'd love to hear from you. And leave us a rating and review. We need it. We really do. And thank you guys for the support, both at live shows, the podcast, all the stuff you do, buying T-shirts. You don't understand. As I said earlier, this is a business where it's hard to get rich. So we sell T-shirts. We try to get up and down the road. Like Jesse said earlier, he makes more money selling T-shirts at shows than he does on the shows. But he makes a lot of money off the T-shirts. So keep buying the damn things, all right? And I guarantee you, they're made in Nicaragua. So they're not China. That's the next. Listen, we already got an open border. They're here. Let's support them.
That's it.
Maybe they'll want to stay home. If you keep buying Nicaraguan cotton maybe they'll stop coming here.
More importantly, maybe if we start promoting the economy towards them, maybe they'll vote conservative like they're supposed to instead of Democrats because they're the ones letting them in.
That's the one. All right.
4D chess, baby. 4D chess.
We're playing it deep. Covfefe. All right, guys, we love you. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.